This is the Installer Guy kicking it with news, and today's episode 9. This episode was brought to you by Joe Agashi Motors. You need a fancy car, not a jalopy? Grab a phone and call Joe Agashi. Now, this episode, it was about Alec Baldwin, an accidental shooting on his set that he was filming. Prop gun that was basically supposed to have been cleaned by the prop guy, and it was not. So as a result, a bullet or shrapnel within one of the houses of the revolver went off, and unfortunately a lady was killed and a man was injured. The lady that was killed was one of the set designers, I believe, and the one that was injured was the director. The one that was killed, unfortunately, she left behind a husband and a dog and a child, and the shooter by accident was, of course, Alec Baldwin. It was an accident. Don't crucify the guy. Things happen. People make mistakes. The question is the level of responsibility. Who does that fall on? Well, think about it. It falls on Alec Baldwin because he's a producer for the movie. It happened on set. 2, it falls on the prop guy. He was supposed to check the gun, make sure it was clean, and didn't have any residue of anything in it. It falls on whoever he works for, which would be the director or also the producer, which is Alec, but also the director. I believe that gun should have been checked several times, at least 3 times, before it was put in his hands on set during filming. Things happen. In life, there's so many things happening right now. Accidental guns in people's homes go off. Accidental guns in training with trained officers go off. Military, when there's a war going on, accidental misfirings, crossfire, you name it, it happens. Little children that get their hands on a gun for some unknown reason when they're going through the parents' dressers or closets or underneath the bed. So these things happen. I noticed that they're crucifying him more than they would a person that is in their home and accidentally did it. And it's because he's in a public eye and the way he's handling it, and they're just giving him such a bad rap on this, which rightfully so because of the responsibility factor. But like I said, he's not the only one that's accidentally had a gun in his hand, accidentally went off and hit someone. It's happened in other locations, in other situations, in other parts of history. And actually, there was 3 incidents total that happened on set. The second incident happened from the movie called The Crow that had Brandon Lee in it, one of my favorite actors, Bruce Lee's son. He was on set, and the guy that was pointing the gun at him accidentally went off. When I say accidentally, meaning that there was still shrapnel in the gun and it killed him instantly. Before that, there was a TV show. It was called Voyagers. Came out back in the 80s. It's Voyagers with an exclamation point at the end. So if you look it up, you'll find it. But the guy's name was John Hexum, I think. Yes, Hexum. And he accidentally killed himself playing with the prop gun, pointed it at his head on set. So, like I said, things happen. Alec wasn't the first, and he definitely won't be the last. I'm sure they're going to do proper protocols on firearms being on set, but it happens once, then all of a sudden everyone's senses are more acute when it comes to wanting to take care and be responsible. But then all of a sudden, when nothing's happening, it dies down again, and then an accident will take place. But bear in mind, accidents happen in people's homes or in businesses. Even during training exercises, it happens. So what happened on set is not an anomaly. It's happened in other situations. So the crucifying of him by several people who aren't looking at the big picture, because this has happened before. It's happening now. He's not the only one. There's other situations right now that you look at on the news right now. If you flip on television, you see accidental shots being fired by accidents from adults to kids to babies. So it has happened. He's human. None of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. The question is, you learn from those mistakes. You grow with those mistakes. You become a better person. I'm going to assume that movie will not finish production at any time, period. And if it does, it'll probably be several years before it gets back to production, but that'll be considered a wash. Alec Baldwin's more focused right now on what's going to happen to him. I'm sure he's abiding with authorities, doing exactly what they're asked of him. Paparazzi are going to be around him 24/7. I saw that he talked to the paparazzi, which in my opinion wasn't a good idea, because someone would try to use that information against him. 2, maybe his lawyer should have reached out to him and told him that. But 3, he also was probably thinking by giving him a little information that they'd leave him alone, because I'm sure they were following him. But things like this happen. You just got to learn to move on. It's a learning experience for everybody. For those who are diehard Alec Baldwin fans, I'm sure they're hurt by this, but like I said, it was an accident. His emotions are in the right place as how he's feeling. The guilt is there, I'm sure. He wants to console the family, which she left behind a husband and child, which I'm sure he's had conversations. From what I saw, he said he's had conversations with him. But I'm sure the husband of the dead deceased wife is going to have to get a lawyer involved regardless. And more than likely what will happen is it will be a lawsuit somewhere. The direction of who the lawsuit will go to, it'll probably go to the set, the film production company. It'll probably go towards the director, because he's in charge, producer, which actually is Alec Baldwin, which he's also the recipient of the weapon he's holding. So steps have to go into place in order to properly catalog what just took place. But like I said, things happen. You gotta learn to just move on with this. Don't dwell on it too long, because the more you dwell on it, the more it eats you up inside, and then you become so secluded into yourself that you don't want to do anything with anyone. But you gotta learn to move on from this. I'm sure they're gonna pursue the right paths as far as compensation for this, which in my opinion, there is no compensation, because the person's life has been extinguished. It's no longer there. But that's usually how it works. And things like this happen. So this preceding episode was brought to you by Joe Agashi Motors. Car broken down? You need someplace to go? Reach for a phone and call Joe Agashi Motors. We'll put you in a fancy car with no fancy price. Remember, people, you rule the technology. Don't let technology rule you. Oh, and on another note, I'm going to be gone for about 12 days. So you won't see a broadcast until probably the 14th or 15th. I'm going on a little trip. I'll talk about the trip when I get back. But aside from that, you guys have a great day.